all thought that so many people will come. Initially, we thought that there will be 5 people at max. So it's a very sincere thanks from our side. And initially, I had said that any one of us will say it spontaneously, but then I thought it's a very serious issue and none of us had ever spoken publicly. Here to protest against a gruesome rape and murder second year postgraduate doctor. The incident has happened in Kolkata, India. In the manifesto there will be QR code that you will be able to scan and get the international coverage that has been done. We are also here to show solidarity to all the protests currently going on in India to seek justice, ensure the well-being and the security of the doctors. Workplace safety is a very basic thing. It's unfortunate that we have to stand and show posters and ask for it. And I don't know whether everyone has read it, but the doctor who was raped and killed, she was in a continuous duty of 36 hours, which is inhuman. Or faced any kind of violations or violence that has happened just because she is women, just because of the gender. So this situation leads to a question that do women have a very basic right, the right to live and work with dignity? If not, then whose responsibility is it to make sure of this fundamental right that every woman, every man should be able to work in a secured place with their peace of mind, with some basic features, basic amenities that any human needs. So in light of the above questions, we are here asking for speedy proceedings and making a clear example of RG Hospital incident. We need it to be made an exemplary example. Otherwise, this gives a message to the society that if you have a link to some powerful people or if you have some privilege, you will have to pay, you will not be paying anything for such heinous crimes, which is a very bad message. I mean, why are we even talking about that we need to give a message? Obviously we need to give a message if something like this has happened. A woman doctor was violated in most horrific way in her workplace, which is a state-run hospital. I mean, I don't know whether there will be very less examples which is worse than this. Probably in India, the 2012 case within the moving bus, or there was a very old case, Aruna Shanbag. I think it's in Maharashtra, a nurse. So something like this. But I mean, these are the incidents where examples has to be made, and these are the incidents where this poster, what it says, that justice delayed is justice denied, and that is what we are seeing, that there is something going on and everything is being delayed, and there is some kind of, today's Supreme Court has observed that there might be some kind of tampering. The state needs to take responsibility of such situations. So today we are here asking for 4 things. Justice for the RG victim. Number 2 is fair and speedy investigation and trial in RG crime. Solidarity towards the whole doctor fraternity, because the situation that ultimately inculcated into the what happened, that is being faced by all the doctors. That is very clear now from the reports. And number 4 is we want a world free from violence and violation against women and LGBTQ, basically every human being.
Justice for all women.
Justice for all women.
I'm sure that this is not new knowledge. What has been happening in India, one of the most ancient civilizations in the world, this is nothing new happening. So the biggest surprise is that it is still happening. It's 2024, it's still happening. No city, no town, no village, no matter how metropolitan in India, is free of this, violence against women and even even girl kids, right? I mean, and since RG Kaur, already a lot of other incidents have happened in the country, which, people who have not even spared 3 and 4-year-old kids in the state of Maharashtra, Badlapur. I mean, what is wrong with the society? And I'm pretty sure that, all of us here, or at least most of us would agree that each and every one of us are somehow, responsible for the way things are in our country. Why? Because is it only men who do this? Even women. women actually help, sort of indirectly or directly, add to the problem somehow. I mean, women take part in female infanticide. How bizarre is that? And how inhuman is that? I mean, being a woman, if you cannot understand the pains of women, then who else will? And of course, I mean, we of course have men who do this. I'm not denying that. But what strikes me as the most weirdest part of this whole thing is that women do this. Whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, right? And where does this stop? I mean, obviously, it begins with us. It always begins with us. The day we start saying no, and the day we always, so I have been following the updates of the case religiously ever since it happened, because, okay, I'm a Bengali, I'm an Indian, I'm a woman. I mean, so the reasons are endless. And it's not just about the rape that has happened. I mean, doctors not being safe in their workplace, people who, contribute so much to the society, a woman who has done probably so much for the society, she was not safe in an environment which was supposed to be safe. And this is just not about doctors. I mean, women in all areas of life, even if she's a housewife, so many women still face violence at home, abuse at home. What about them? I mean, things which go unnoticed by us every single day, it's happening all the time. Even as we speak at this moment, I'm pretty sure at least one woman in India is getting violated. Even right now. This, we can have demonstrations everywhere. We don't know if this is going to stop anytime soon. Of course, it's very good that the Supreme Court has now taken the case in their hands. We will see which way it goes. And now more things are being uncovered, right? Like, we are seeing that there were different kinds of rackets which were probably involved in this whole thing. I mean, so the CBI is digging up all kinds of things, which makes the case even worse than one could imagine. Anyway, so I think now a whole can of worms has opened up with this case. We have to see where this leads us to, but hopefully to a country which is better, which is safer, which is more just. I mean, anyway. So I'm sorry if I was a little emotional in my speech, but
You're
I
right
think
to be emotional.
I think this demands our emotion.
At this point, it's not just about awareness. I'm pretty sure people of our age and people of our generation at least know what a bad touch and good touch is. We know what rape is, we know what violence is against women, and this is not a sexual crime. It's just violence against women. At this point, we don't need to educate anybody for them to understand what's wrong and what's right. I'm sure people know that it's wrong. It's just the society has trivialized violence against women in India so much. Our community has made women so small that anything that happens to us is just brushed under a carpet. It's not considered worth talking about. It's not considered strong enough for people to actually, it's not considered a strong opinion or a strong conversation topic in your dinner room. And whatever happens to you inside your house, inside with your people, with your own relatives, nobody even talks about it. That's the reason we have like 97% of the cases not even reported. And whatever thing comes in the light today for people who have seen things, it's still trivialized. Murder is taken seriously, and I think for now women need to be killed for them to be taken seriously. Rape has been happening ever since we know. We have seen things happen in our surroundings, in our households, but it has never been talked about. And until a woman not just gets raped but also gets killed, and such a gruesome way, that's when people realize that it's something people need to talk about. And even then, like the thing that happened, the Ajikar situation, they did not really reveal the body, they did not talk about it, they even called it a suicide, tried to cover it up. And I have been asked, some people told me that when we as a diaspora, as expats start talking about these things and about our country, we are defaming our country. My opinion is that our country is not made up of rapists. I'm sorry. If people are taking offense that when we say things about Indian community trying to shield rapists and trying to protect them, I am only talking about people who are the perpetrators. And if the shoe fits, then feel free to wear it.
So I wanted to give a take here. I think from a male perspective, which I feel is also important in this case, because as she said that although it is a problem for all genders, I feel men are one of the leading cause of all of this problem, and I feel as men we should step up from a very basic level. So, for example, locker room talk, which we all know happens everywhere. I'm pretty sure all men here have somewhere experienced locker room talk, which means men trying to over sexualize their friends, their classmates, and talking about them in a really not so nice way. And I have experienced that, my friends saying that, and honestly, it is difficult to stand up to your own friends when they say that. But I think we have to take that bold step. I think it's really important because that changes society from the ground up, which is what India requires. Like, sure, as it's pointed out, that we want safety and not just protection. Sure, this case will be handled, and maybe, hopefully, it's handled in a good way. But the future rapes are not just stopped by protection. Germany, for example, here you can see it's not that the police is everywhere; it's that the people are not raping each other. That's how things get solved. So, I think as men we need to take responsibility for this. We need to talk. We need to talk to our female friends as well. Be sensitive to their situation, understand them, and of course, not just friends. This happens in a lot of families. Personally, I'm lucky to be in a family which has been relatively not messed up, so to speak. But of course, this happens in all kinds of families, from fathers to daughters to uncles to brothers, from male to male. Of course, male rape exists, and we should not ignore that. But yeah, that's what I said, that we as men should take up responsibility and speak up in our homes, in our classrooms, in anywhere where we can speak, in closed spaces. That's very important, because closed spaces is where male toxicity, thrives, and we should stop it at the root cause.
So what he said, in context of that, I would like to add one thing. It was not exactly the agenda, but because it has come up, it's the best time to talk about it. And that is, male rapes happen, and that happens almost in a 50-50 ratio when it's a child. Among the children, there is no such gender bias when there is a violence going on. It's primarily because violence is about power, it's not about gender, and a child is powerless in front of any adult, irrespective of gender. So although this was not in our agenda, it was not exactly what we thought we will be talking about, but because it's a good thing that we should talk about it. And another thing both of you said, I would like to say about it, that yes, I think one big problem is that when something happens, we don't talk about it inside our family, we hide it. So that is what we learn from our childhood days, and that gives a very wrong message. Before I said that court, judiciary, they need to set an example about this case, but within the families we have very bad examples, because the boys gets to know that something bad happens, it will be hushed up, and so they can do away with it, they can go away with it. And the girls know, the women know that if they don't handle on by themselves, then again they will be a victim second time for a same incident. This sets a very wrong example within family and within society. These are really big topics, and both of us, we wanted that these things come up when we share our opinions and our experiences. And thank you that everyone is sharing. And anyone else, please?
I would like to.
Nice.
I today won't be talking on behalf of what women experience, because I fortunately can't even start understanding. I try my level best to try to understand, but since fortunately I'm a guy, in a country where the only safe thing you can be is a guy, I unfortunately can't completely understand. I will actually talk about the men, the perpetrators, and not the victims here, and men in general. I have last few days I have lost sleep. I don't know. I can't focus on anything. I can't do anything, and one of this thing obviously has disturbed everyone. I don't think this is something which brought people to streets because they realized, oh, this is what's going on. I think this was an explosion. This was an explosion of years, decades, probably centuries of exploitation of women, and just women. And when I say just women, and I mean just women, I have seen some men, actually many men, say, "Oh, not all men. Oh, stop! Stop targeting us. Stop! Not everyone. It's just like the criminals are just few men." See, the thing is that if you're actually a man who has some dignity, some honor, and you know that you haven't hurt any woman or anyone in general, you would not talk about it. You won't feel insecure. You know that you sleep at peace knowing that you're not a pathetic human being. As a result, you don't have to justify that to anyone. And people who do, they have that ick in the back of the head. Oh, you know what, maybe someone might talk about it. Oh, then what do I do? No, not all men, not all men, don't talk about it, etc., etc., etc. I'm tired of that. And this thing again is, I think, more than justice to be delivered, I think it's big time we start talking about how culture needs to be changed in our country. Laws are there in our country, but it's not enforced properly. It's not enforced at all. You can bribe your way through almost anything in our country. In this case, the government themselves are bribing their way of the whole thing, which has brought down someone on the road protesting against someone who she herself is. I won't name her because if I do, I'll receive a mail from certain someone in my state and my parents would be in trouble. This is the democracy I live in. Anyway, I think the culture needs to be changed. Instead of, yeah, of course, as anyone who becomes parents, the first thing they do when their daughter starts getting older is to tell them and teach them about the bad touch. I think it's big time we start teaching our boys what a bad touch is and how it's not okay. How it's not okay under any circumstances, any condition, etc., etc., etc. It's big time. And we also not only just need some cultural change because I think it's due a long time. It's due a long time that the household this becomes a household talk. How many of our households have ever talked about this? Especially this question goes out to the guys. I don't think a single one of them probably have talked about something like this. You know what? This is not right. This is not the right way to treat a woman. This is not the right way to treat your friend. This is not the right way to treat your girlfriend, etc., etc., etc. Cultural change is needed. Educational change is needed. I don't know if you guys remember or not. In your childhood, there were many cases, especially when we were small, when if we did something mischievous, the teacher would say go and sit beside a girl, to a guy, and to a girl they'll say go and sit beside a guy, as if it's a punishment. The whole concept of this segregating both of them so that they'll stay safe, etc., etc., needs to be stopped as well. There needs to be an educational culture shift. There needs to be a culture shift. There needs to be a change in the whole political scenario. I think 152 member of parliament in our parliament have a record of violence against women. I think around 15, 17 have rape cases. 56 MPs have rape cases filed against them. 150 of them have violence against women as a history in their illustriously long, crime sheet. Of course, illustriously long. It's not the start, it's not the end, it's, just a filler. Because that's what women are in our country, just a filler. My mother, my friends, there's probably not a single woman in my life who I've ever talked to who hasn't had experienced any form of harassment, be it in bus, be it on the streets, be it in their office, be it in the school, be it in their own bathroom, be it in probably in their own bedroom. No one, not a single woman I know, has been safe from this. People talk about 1 in 3 women have faced something which has probably traumatized her for the rest of their life. I don't even think that's true. I probably think it's closer to 3/4, or maybe, God forbid, 5/6, or maybe even worse. Because I just can't believe it. Every woman I know has faced some form of harassment. And it's big time people not only start talking about it, do something about it. You see something, go and slap that guy. And if you need to use violence to stop something like that, I think the state needs to legalize that at this point, because that's what we do, right? We love policing. We love policing others. That's what these men think. Oh, they're policing other women. Oh, you're wearing short, clothes. Let me police you. Let me show you who is more powerful. Let me show you who is in control. I think that's what it's about. Rape, as she said, it's not about sexual desire, etc., etc. It's about the urge to show who is more dominant and who is in control. I recently, unfortunately, heard women from brothel who are doing marches for women in general. They are given an interview where one of them said, "You can come to us when you want to have sex. Leave the women alone. Leave them safe." She probably still might not understand, because it's, as a woman, it's very difficult probably is very difficult for you to understand. It's not about the fact that that guy wants to have sex. No, he wants to show you who is in control. That's the problem. That's the very problem we are tackling with, and I think, as a country, we need to realize that first. I'm really sorry if this is an extremely long monologue. It's just that I just can't stop myself from going on, and I haven't been able to stop myself for the last, I don't know how many days. I shared few posts on Instagram. I generally never comment about anything socio-political or social in general on my Instagram stories, but I couldn't take it anymore, because it's personal. This attack is personal, and it's every day. Every day I open up my phone after waking up, I see n number of journalists. I don't even follow journalists. I don't even follow any journalists. I still see journalists on my Instagram feed saying XYZ has been raped, ABC has been raped. And this is what women have become: XYZ, ABC, RA18. I don't know, they'll probably start rolling out roll numbers at this point, because clearly their name or who they are, from where they are, is not important. Today there's an outburst, or maybe I would say the tipping point, because we, as people who have been desensitized to such a sensitive topic, that is safety of women, we have been desensitized as a country, and we saw, you know what, a doctor is getting raped now in her own hospital, in when she's on duty, in where administration is there, security is there, God forbid what is there, but people are there. How is that possible? And that flustered us as a public, because this happens every day, every hour, every second. That's what I see. I grew numb to it for a very long time. I stopped commenting. I stopped saying anything. But then when I saw this, I think, along with many people in our country, I couldn't stop myself.
One of the doctors, who's my friend, she works at AIMS Bhubaneswar. She posted in her story saying that the people have been asking the doctors to go back to work to do their own duty. And she had to write that if this would have happened to your own daughter, sister, or mother, then would you have asked them to do their duty? And this is something that sparked in me. I don't understand, why do people need to add a title or a relationship to a woman to humanize her? Does a woman need to be somebody's daughter or sister, wife, mother for her to become a person in herself? It's very difficult for them to say, and we are just tired of listening to this rhetoric कि तुम्हारे घर में माँ बहन नहीं है क्या? But this is,
that's the only way they can try to relate to women, because they haven't been taught.
and my
to,
point
what you
exactly.
can relate to women in general.
In general, exactly, my point is, do women need to have a title or an authority to actually be humans? This situation, sexual crimes, violence happens with sex workers as well, where they're voluntarily actually giving it on behalf of women who are doing it as a barter for money, and then they're also raped. And this is my point, when people need to humanize women based on how they work, what their profession is. Like you said, a doctor is being raped. My point is, this is the problem. We need to understand that people have their own right. A man or a woman or a child being raped is a person being raped. That person has its his own modesty being outraged, which is inhuman in itself. Second thing that I noticed was, after this case came into light, one of the medical colleges, I think it was Silchar Medical College, and they came up with a regulation asking women not to go out at night, wear proper clothes when they're working, and then the Supreme Court also came out with a regulation where women doctors were asked not to go for night duties, and men would be taking their night duties instead. And this, for me, sparks another problem. I think this is where misogyny is generated, where men feel like women are getting more privilege because they are women, and instead of schooling or policing men, asking them not to do something vile, we are asking only women to stay safe. And this is something which is, how long can you ask your women to be safe? They're not safe in their own houses, they're not safe in their own colonies, in their schools. So this is
Making that safety is a woman's responsibility.
exactly.
Society's responsibility.
Exactly.
And who is taking the guarantee that they will not get raped in the daylight? Nobody.
Also, when you are making
women get raped by their own husbands.
exactly,
In a country where
and it is
marital
not
rape is-
considered a rape.
It's not considered rape.
A
It's not
rape,
a crime.
as long as you're in
You
wedlock.
probably get laughed at if you go to the police and say something.
On
like that.
top of it, when you create a divide in working professionals, when you say that women should not be working in this area and men should rather be taking those responsibilities, I think that does create a rift between the mentality. Men will feel that when they say rightly, I think this is very rightly deserving when some people say that she slept her way through the top, or she will get this job because she's a woman, because they feel like women get privileges based on just their gender. And this all is done on, in the guise of protecting women, providing them with a safe situation, whereas this is not equality. This is not what we want. We want people to treat us like you would treat your own. And it's not just your mother or your sister or your daughter or your son. It's every person. It takes nothing to, remain civil. It takes a lot of effort to be vile. It just does not make sense why women should be treated this way just in the guise of being protected or being safeguarded from others.
I know that this gathering here is because of a horrific crime that happened in Kolkata. I would like to paint a different angle towards what is happening. Today, I read the news that the CBI, who is investigating this case, has let the Supreme Court of India know that evidence has been tampered. My question is, the incident happened in a state-run hospital where the doctor was working. While she was working, it happened. And this is, mind you, it's a state-run hospital. Now the Supreme Court has to investigate. Obviously, the CBI has to investigate further what was exactly wrong. But we know that in the night before Independence Day, 15th August, 14th August night, approximately 7 to 8,000 people stormed inside Arjikor Medical College. My question is, are people commodities like something you buy from Amazon, that you place an order and voila, 7,000 people arrive at your doorstep?
I mean, that's the recruitment system, right?
You need proper organization, you need proper channels to gather so many people within such a short notice, and their main target was, so where the incident took place, a room was there which was vandalized, and it is suspected that a lot of evidence has been tampered with in that particular room. So my question is, or rather I would like to paint such an angle that if this is happening under the watch of the state government who runs the hospital, if this is happening under the watch of the police, whom should we trust? Can I trust you? That is the fundamental question. If the savior becomes the perpetrator, whom should I trust? And it is precisely because of this lack of trust amongst everyone in the civil society that we are here demanding justice, that we can't trust anyone, and that is the sad reality. This is it's not very new that what is happening here. Women are raped every day, and we hear news, as people before me have spoken about, but we don't get shocked because of that. We are so desensitized to such matters that we don't feel even shocked. But we as people, we are very classist as a society. Now people are thinking that the doctor who was a victim, she might be my neighbor's daughter, that something happened to her, and it might be that my children are next in the line. It could happen to anyone. That's why I feel that if you can't trust anyone, starting from that, if you feel that it's your responsibility to speak when the bricks of your own house are tattering, then it becomes a problem. The long-term solution to this is not by installing CCTV cameras everywhere and policing women and escorting them everywhere they go. The long-term solution is basically you have to do proper education, introduce a proper culture of inclusivity.
Regarding the education he was saying, I just want to add something, that when she talked a very good point that when you are in Germany you don't see these things happening, but you see in India. I think the basic is where it should start from is the education. Remember when you were in high school or when you were in school, especially when we were taught biology, some of the lessons would be skipped very quickly, some of the lessons, and especially if you guys had a female teacher, because I had a female teacher, I studied in DAV. So she would quickly skip this because she would be uncomfortable herself answering the questions. So this is something that should start from the from the scratch. Also, somebody was talking about the in your houses. I think you were talking about in your houses they don't allow you to, if a female is facing problems, they go to their mother that complaining that somebody is harassing me. One of the family members, my uncle, is harassing me. And then the mother would say that, okay, you shouldn't say this in front of people. I think this is the time you should stop, stop hiding and start calling out their names. I actually personally had a couple of friends with whom it happened. Like with my friend it happened, with our mother it happened, and the same guy in the family did it.
Don't we all have friends?
So basically, I think it should start and. Right, like he was mentioning that we shouldn't politicize it. Yes, I don't want to politicize it, but just make sure that whatever we are doing, all our efforts, standing here for 1.5 and 2 hours, it shouldn't go in drain by pulling this thing in another direction. I don't want to name cases, but you have been seeing recent cases where the media and the police and the state government, they try to divert it. They use the media channels to divert the case into another, and then they would scapegoat somebody, right? So even if you or me as an individual can't do anything, but just remember what we did and try to aware whoever is beside you. It might be your family members, it might be your friends, but just try to spread the awareness starting from here.
We all know that one friend who has had something happen to her. The irony is, I have never had a male friend who has said that, yes, I know a man who has done something like this. It's because the men are always shielding their friends. I have never heard anybody say that, one of my friends said something like this. But we all know at least one or two women or friends who has had something bad done to her.
I just want to talk like this didn't stop with the RG hospital, because not only there, like after few days, I just read another news that in some other city, some nurse got kidnapped and she was not even saved. And in some other news, I just said like there was a small child who was kidnapped and who was raped and everything. And I agree with all your solutions. Like we have to be educated enough, like we have to educate our children and everything. But I think there should be a capital punishment for this, because if we see some other countries where there are like 0 to like 0.1% of rape cases, the punishment there is like just killing the person who raped her. So I would say that maybe we need that type of punishment where at least if not killing, because India doesn't believe in killing anyone, but the punishment should be so harsh that anyone should fear the government, that okay, if I get caught like you during rape, I'll be punished in such a harsh manner that he shouldn't even go near, or he should not even get the thought of raping someone.
I think capital punishment is fair, I guess, fair call. But I think someone said 97% of the rape cases don't even get reported. So when you are trying to improve the punishment, which only 3% get, given that they get convicted, because not all the rape cases leads to a conviction, that's just like maybe 1.5%. We need to work on that 97% which don't get reported, because probably some of their relatives, the parents, the police, they don't take it seriously. They actually make I don't know, they probably laugh at her.